Hey Ed, I would like to know what your vision is for Ybor City. You know, it's just on the other end of 7th Avenue from where we sit right here. And it could be the crown jewel and the
Mm.
pride of Tampa, and yet it's kind of fallen to the side. So what do you think could be done to incentivize small businesses to go in there, balance the economy, and bring Ybor back to prominence?
I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we're sitting on this precipice with high-speed rail that if it happens, one sets of cascading events happens. If it doesn't, those events don't happen. So I'm going to play out two scenarios. One is if high-speed rail happens, and we hope it does. It opens Ybor City to 40 million tourists who are 32 minutes away. If that doesn't happen, Ybor City's future, though, in my opinion, rests with preservation or historic tourism. I think Ybor City has fallen back from what it could achieve. We've gone for the short-term dividend and given up the long-term dividend. Heritage tourism is the proper term for it, is a powerful force. We have bar districts all over America. And I think Ybor City has lost its course by casting aside heritage tourism for the quick buck. And we has turned it into, in some respects, a tawdry bar district. Whereas the real power of it comes from lifting it up, recognizing and realizing its real potential, turning it back to what it is. And I'm going to come back to this whole rail transit thing, building an effective regional transportation system that connects Clearwater and St. Petersburg and Lutz and Carrollwood and West Chase and Brandon to Ybor City and downtown and South Tampa. So I'll play this scenario out because unlike the high-speed rail scenario, which the governor is going to decide to go forward with or not, this scenario is within our grasp. If we could develop the kind of rail transit systems I'm talking about, you tie together Clearwater Beach to Ybor City. So people who are staying on Clearwater Beach say, well, honey, 5 days at the beach, I am really burned. Where am I going to go? What do you want to do tonight? Oh, well, let's catch the train and go over to Ybor. You know, there are millions and millions of tourists there. Once we establish that connection, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Then when we market Pinellas tourism and Hillsborough business tourism, we're bringing in connecting of Ybor City with the beaches. And now, you know, what does a family of tourists want to do? You know, they don't want to go for a pub crawl. They don't want to get drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning. They want to go experience something real. By making those connections, you create demand for a new product. And once you do that, you're going to have the fuel to change the investment interest in Ybor City to be less oriented to the quick buck, an 18 to 21-year-old, to let's get the German tourist and the English tourist and the New York tourist and all those other guys coming over here. And when they come over here, they got money in their pockets and they're going to spend it on retail, they're going to spend it on dining, they're going to be looking for a real life experience. You know, high-speed rail lets us get there a lot faster, but I think we can still do it. And the bottom line here is creating more of a market for Ybor City. So once there's more demand in the right product, in this historic and preservation tourism, investment dollars will find their way there and convert those uses into something important. The other piece of Ybor, the final piece, we really need to deal with the residential areas around it. You got to look at these things as a whole. It's an illusion to think, and I think it was a mistake, to think that going and building a streetcar and putting a central Ybor project in there and building 2 parking garages while Ybor was situated in the middle of some very tough neighborhoods was somehow a winning strategy. Is anyone surprised that Ybor continues to be vexed with the crime and other issues that they're vexed with? We've not had a holistic strategy. We thought that, well, if we do a couple of projects, it will solve itself. And that's not city building, that's not community building, and it certainly wasn't keeping with the heritage of Ybor City. So that's a long answer to a great question, and I hope that was responsive.
From one of the folks online sent us a question about regionalism, saying, do you believe that the city mayor is a leader not only for the city, but also on county and regional issues? And if you believe that you have a wider role, what are your plans to make us a more unified area?
Well, I'm Mr. Super Regional and Mr. Regional. I think the only one running in this race that won the Tampa Bay Partnership Regional Leadership Award. I learned the importance of regionalism in the Tampa Bay water and water wars dispute. I understand what it takes to bring the different parties together. The mayor of Tampa is the most powerful political office in this region, probably in the state of Florida. And while he or she does not have legal authority over a lot of things, their bully pulpit and their moral authority and their community authority is vast. I think that, from my perspective, there are three things I'd like to accomplish. One is a regional transportation system. I'd expect to take a leadership role in that. I don't know whether I'd want to serve on T-Barter or not because of sunshine issues, but it's clear that we want to move forward with that, and I've already been talking to mayors and county commissioners from around the region to do that. The second piece comes into the area of marketing and tourism. We should have a consolidated message. We should pool our resources as much as possible. We have a brand of Tampa Bay, and we need to speak with that brand and market the whole region together. Once you build a regional transportation system, it becomes infinitely easier to do that, because Clearwater no longer sees Clearwater's interest just being in Clearwater. There is interest in what happens at Busch Gardens and USF and Ybor City as in Clearwater. The last piece goes to economic development. We need to brand Tampa Bay and have us known as very specific clusters. Here's what we're going after. Here's what we're known for. Not just the Bucks or the Rays or the Lightning or good tan, but that we have a cognitive, real message. Here's what we're about. Here's what we're going to do. And we speak that message to everyone. And that message is reinforced by where we invest our economic development dollars.
Another question from online that came in about air travel. So as mayor, you have a seat on the Aviation Authority's board. We've been told that few international flights want to come to Tampa and that airlines prefer Orlando because of Disney. Meanwhile, Sanford Airport has picked up some 25,000 monthly international passengers in the past 7 years, and Sanford is not much closer to Disney than TIA. What is your feeling about attracting international flights to Tampa?
We need to be as aggressive as we can about opening international doors and gateways to Tampa. We have to do that within the context of the market realities, the fact that Disney is 56 miles away and Miami is in this state. But having said that, a lot of people don't like going to or through Miami. We have, I think, very significant opportunities for Central America, Latin American trade. I've become acclimated to this because my brother-in-law operates the largest tour agency in North America to Central Africa, right out of here, Tampa, Florida. The top tour operator in America to Central Africa is in Tampa. How's that for how the world has changed? We have a new airport director who's really oriented to opening those doors. And I don't mean to sound like an old saw, but if high-speed rail happens, our airport and airline connection opportunities change dramatically, because Disney, here's a lesson of how Disney does things. They package things themselves. So what you'll see Disney doing is packaging, fly into Tampa, take the high-speed train to Disney World, and get off. And when you check your bags in New York or Chicago, they'll show up in your hotel room at Disney World, just like they do out of Orlando International Airport now. The difference is that Disney won't have their passengers ride a high-speed train between OIA and their property because they don't want them to stop at Universal. There's no such consideration here. And I am absolutely confident that if high-speed rail goes forward, Tampa International is going to have a broad, new, vigorous market of both domestic and international travelers that we should drive a train through. Next.
Hi, how are you? I'm Pharrell Bonamort, and I have an office here at the Heights. And today I actually met with a police officer who says that he's very tenured, been with the police force since Greco, and he's leaning towards you. And I know that you have the support of the police department, but he wasn't really sure why he was leaning towards you. So I wanted to kind of...
I lost part of that, sorry.
He wasn't sure. He said he liked you, and he wanted to vote for you, but he couldn't articulate why. So I was just kind of curious for city workers and the police force what your stance was for the benefit for you in office to better communicate that.
Well, I think that the challenge and a concern of a lot of public employees is what's going to happen to their benefits. We have aggressive pension plans and generous compensation plans that have been earned, and I literally mean earned, by public employees over the years. But with the loss of $9 billion in property revenue over the last 3 years and shrinking city budgets, people are concerned about what's going to happen with those. And I think they look at what's happening in Wisconsin and other places and have grave concerns about it. The last thing I want to see happen is any public employee to lose rights that they have vested, that they've earned. They need to be able to rely upon those things that have been promised them. The risk is if we don't manage things right, you can lose those things in a bankruptcy proceeding. And I'm not saying at all that we're anywhere close to that. But what I tell the public employees is that I will take a very long look at where we're going. I like to do 4-year projections to see where we're going. I like to understand what our risks are with our pension funds, not just 3 years down the road, but 5, 10, 15, and make sure that we do compensation packages that can be sustained, that can be afforded by taxpayers, and that's fair and reliable to the public employees can rely upon. I think past administrations have perhaps been a bit more cavalier about that, thinking that the next generation will somehow take care of it. And I think it's my duty as a mayor to look out a long way for the benefit of everyone to see that the wage packages, the health care packages, the compensation packages is something that we can handle not just tomorrow or 3 years or 5 years, but 15 years down the path when some of these folks are retiring. It's one of the benefits of always having this long look to the future. I've always been willing to think 3 or 4 steps ahead and do some things perhaps that people construe as not being popular, because I look down the road and say, you know, if we don't do these things today, we're going to be in a lot of trouble tomorrow. And I think that's the kind of mayor that people who are working and starting careers in public service want to have, because at the end of the day, they're going to know that what they think they have, they actually in fact have.